Well, good evening, everybody. I'm William Prentice, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody who's got a true story for you tonight. How about some enthusiasm for that? A true story. But more than that, it's actually a story about the truth. I'm going to introduce somebody to you who works in Lincoln. She's a university lecturer, and her name is Carole Brooke. So why don't you put your hands together and welcome her as she comes up here. Hi, Carole, it's great to see you. Now, would you just tell us a little bit about what your life used to be like?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of us, sorry, I'm not supposed to take this off your mic. I think a lot of us are actually subject to deception in our lives, and I'm no exception. I mean, there are probably a lot that I could talk about, but we haven't got very much time, so probably about 4 that I would highlight. First of all, as a child, and I think a lot of you could probably relate to this, my upbringing led to me having quite a low self-esteem and self-worth. That in turn led to me believing that the artistic gifts that I did have at the time were not probably worth anything and that no one would take them very seriously. And in fact, I became a secret songwriter. Even my parents didn't know that I was writing music. That's how bad it was. A couple of other things that I was deceived about was the nature of my lifestyle. I believed that church was boring. I believed it was irrelevant. It got to the stage where I would stand in church and I would dutifully hold up the hymn book, but I would be standing there saying, I'm not going to sing, I am not going to sing, and I just would not sing. And finally, and probably most profoundly, when I was married, I used the past participle deliberately. When I was married, I am no longer married, I actually believed, and this sounds ridiculous now from a Christian viewpoint, but I actually believed that God was telling me that I should be with another man who was also married. Now, how stupid could that possibly be?
Married to somebody else?
Yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, to cut a long story short, it was a very damaging relationship, 2 broken marriages, 2 broken families, basically a trail of destruction all around us. And it was actually at this very cathedral where I came back to God and I just said, I can't do this anymore. Sorry. And I just invited God back into my life and I said, I can't do this, but I know that you can. And that was really the turning point.
So what started to happen to you then after that point?
A friend of mine, Alison, invited me to go to her church, and it took a lot of persuading because I thought church was really boring. And I sat in the church upstairs in the balcony because there was no room downstairs, and I watched a whole bunch of kids having a great time at church. And I just sat and I wept through the whole service because I couldn't believe my eyes. I'd never seen church like it.
Was it a 1-box service or a 2-box service?
Probably, I don't really know what that means. You'll have to explain it to me. Oh, boxes of tissues. Oh, probably a truckload, actually, probably a truckload. But the kids they were just happy, but they were really confused about why I was crying. And then I felt bad because they looked really worried about why I was crying. But I just couldn't believe my eyes.
And what decision in your life did that bring you to?
Well, obviously, I then decided that church did have a relevance for me. Another friend invited me to go on an Alpha course, and it's a 10-week commitment. And I said, look, I'm a really busy person. I'll come along just for 1 week. And I wasn't expecting to go back. But again, to cut a long story short, I now help to lead Alpha in my own church. So God has a really good sense of humor.
Wow, it's quite a story. So where is it taking you in the future, do you believe, this new determined personal faith that you've found?
Okay, well, from the outside, of course, I had looked like a very successful businesswoman, senior management, academic credibility, all that kind of thing. But of course, it was really a bit of a sham. Once I accepted God into my life, he started to resurrect gifts that I thought had been long dead, like the music ministry that I had. And praise God, he's just fast-tracked me, William, really, down the music ministry. And I've just put onto CD my first professionally produced piece of music. I believe in time I will have a whole CD. He's given me a ministry which is called Professors of the Faith. And in the natural, this stuff just wouldn't happen. I mean, people would say to me, you're too old, you haven't had the training, it's a tough world out there, forget it. But God can do anything.
Now, there may be, well, many people here tonight who perhaps don't share a sense of having a deep personal faith. And issues of truth and deception, well, they're perhaps not that important to them. What could you say to somebody in that bracket this evening?
I believe if you have a dream, a lot of us hide a dream in our hearts. Sometimes we've not been encouraged to share that with people, particularly if we don't have self-worth, if we think we've done bad things, if we think we're not good enough. We hide that dream in our hearts, and I would encourage you to bring that dream out into the open. Don't let people persuade you otherwise. Just bring it out into the open. And I mean, a line from one of the songs I wrote said it all really. God said to me, this is how it is, basically. You know, my dream, I know that my dream is his plan, and I can't do this, but he can. And I would really encourage you to follow that through.
It's a good thought. We can't, but he can. Let's put your hands together and just thank Carole.